Don't miss the inaugural All-American Cup Team Tennis Tournament presented by Thomas J. Henry at the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas, November 11 through 13. The All-American Cup features 10 top men's U.S. players competing on 2 teams, East versus West, each captained by the greatest tennis doubles team of all time, Mike and Bob Bryan. You don't want to miss this. Brother versus brother, East versus West, best versus best. Tickets on sale now at allamericantenniscup.com.
Let's start recapping the college football weekend in earnest. It was a large college football weekend across the state of Texas. But there were, we want to make sure we are being thorough, but at the same time, I do want to acknowledge some games that we are not going to talk about. Is that okay with you? Could we do that?
That's fine.
So, for example, we will not talk about Baylor's win over Kansas. It's an important win. Kansas is very clearly not the team that we thought they were, especially without Jalen Daniels. Baylor tried to let it get away late, but they didn't. So good job by Baylor. We're not going to talk about that game. We're not going to talk about SMU's near miss against Cincinnati. You just can't fall behind that early and try to rally that quickly against a quality team. We're not going to talk about Houston's pretty thorough win over Navy. Navy's not what they once were, but good win for them. We're not going to talk about Texas Tech's dismantling of West Virginia, although that might be their most impressive win of the year. And then we're not going to talk about Texas State losing to Cider Miss. Okay?
That seems fair.
Just acknowledging that we can't there's only 5 spots on this list, so we can't get to everything. But we'll start with number 5.
Liddy has uncorked 2 touchdown passes. Can he get another 2-point conversion? This for the win. The throw. Lobs it well out of the reach of the intended receiver, and this game is over. Rice has held on. The pass appeared to be intended for Cyrus Allen, and it was well overthrown. And Rice
survives Louisiana Tech to keep their bowl hopes alive.
Hoot.
Rice tried very hard to give this thing away at the end. They were up 35-27. Up 35-27, they scored with about 4 minutes left to go up 35-27, and it looked like you're good. Louisiana Tech marches down. They convert, I believe, 3 third downs and eventually get an incredible catch from Cyrus Allen in the end zone with 37 seconds left. And they get the 2-point conversion to Trey Harris. So at that point, they go to overtime. Rice is able to score on a Juma Ottaviano touchdown run. 3 plays they get in, and then Louisiana Tech decides to go for 2. They score, by the way, on 4th and 3, and they an 18-yard touchdown pass, another incredible catch by Landry Liddy. They had 3 or 4 incredible catches. Louisiana Tech did. They go for the 2 and just completely fail to execute. That's a pretty poor pass there from Landry Liddy, their quarterback, who was, I believe, the freshman that they threw in there late. Now, that said, let's talk about results, because this is a results-oriented business. Rice is now 4-3. Okay, Rice is now 4-3, so they need 2 more wins to get bowl eligibility. And I think their best chance is going to be their next 2. They're home to Charlotte this week. Charlotte just fired their coach, so probably should win that game. And then they're home to UTEP. And UTEP's 4-4. They're doing okay, but the rest of the good thing for Rice though is the rest of their games. Charlotte is probably a should win. The rest of them, UTEP, Western Kentucky, UTSA, and North Texas, I would categorize as winnable. UTSA is probably the toughest one on that list, but I think the rest of those are winnable for Rice. So I think a bowl should be in the cards. But this is an important one, because if you get that, it's a lot harder to count to 3 out of the last 5 than it's 2 out of the last 5.
Yes.
This is really important for Rice. So I thought this was a huge win for the Owls. Number 4.
To start us off, Xavier Leggett to receive. And Leggett wants to bring it out. Got a seam. And Leggett takes it past the 30. And here he goes down the sideline. What a start for the Gamecocks. Xavier Leggett takes it to the house.
South Carolina stuns A&M out of the gate. That was Xavier Legette, a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown on the opening kick.
And that wasn't a fluke. That's about how the rest of the game looked.
That set the tone.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that because what happened is with about 9 minutes left in the first quarter, A&M was down 17-0.
Mm-hmm. When I wasn't watching that game, but when I got on my phone and saw that, I was like, oh my God.
9:51 left in the first quarter. Christian Beal-Smith runs for a 5-yard touchdown to make it 17-0. Less than 6 minutes in, it was 17-0. We talked about Jimbo Fisher yesterday. I don't want to harp on it. But, like, coming out of an open date to play that poorly in the first quarter and to basically bury yourself in the first quarter just stinks. And by the way, their special teams have not been good this year.
No.
That's been an issue for them all year long, is special teams. And it cost them in a big way, and you cannot let that happen on the road in a night game against a South Carolina team and South Carolina program that's trying to prove that, like, this year is different.
Right.
That they're on the rise.
Well, and then after that, then you're going to force your mediocre offense to come out and try and muster up anything. You know, it's like, that's awful.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Sorry, the San Marcos ruling just came down. San Marcos was just hit with a 1-year suspension from post-district play for 2023-24. So
not
next
this year.
So
Yeah.
they're eligible this year, but they're ineligible next year. Anyway, there you go. That's number 4. Number 3.
In overtime at TCU, he's got only one miss on the season. That was today. Sanders has a completion and a first down and a broken tackle by Bryson Green, and he's going to go to the end zone. Touchdown! Oklahoma State takes the lead. To take a 7-point lead, the reverse of what happened last week to OSU.
Big time play here by Bryson Green. You mentioned it. They needed him to step up, and that's what he's done. Just a simple slant route, and you see the strength fighting through the tackle of Deshaun.
Texas's defense lets them down at Oklahoma State. So I'm not here to tell you that I thought Quinn Ewers was great in this game.
That was not his best.
I thought he was pretty ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
But what you doing giving up 535 yards to Oklahoma State?
I'm fairly sure that defense actually didn't walk off the bus.
I mean, and that play right there, which ended up being the game-winning touchdown for Oklahoma State. It was a go-ahead touchdown. That was indicative of the entire way that they played defensively throughout the course of the game, and especially in the second half. Especially in the second half. Their tackling was horrible. Their tackling was very poor, like very basic stuff. Like the coverages were okay, they just couldn't tackle. And look, they ended up being -1 the turnover margin. A lot of his 3 interceptions. It was a total failure there. But at the same time, the offense I don't think was the issue. They threw for 319 yards. He wasn't sharp, but he wasn't terrible. And they ran the ball really well. Bijan Robinson was excellent in this game, 140 yards and a touchdown. But for Texas, that was an opportunity to go on the road and get a real signature win. And I also think, I heard this on a podcast this week, and I tend to agree with it. How Texas plays against Oklahoma State generally tends to be indicative of where they are as a program. If they beat Oklahoma State soundly, things are going pretty well. It's a bellwether. It's a canary in the coal mine. And I think that is actually what you saw at Oklahoma State is a good reflection of where they are as a program. Obviously trending in an okay direction, but not there yet. Not there yet. And so they dropped to 5-3 on the year. And now this week they take on, who do they got this week? Do you know? Who could possibly know? Oh, they go to Kansas State. Not like Manhattan's been a house of horrors for them. Anyway, that's coming up this week. Very disappointing. I thought Texas had a great chance to win this game if they could just tackle, which was frustrating to see. So, there you go. Number 2.
At least they came out of that cover 2, so now they can defend the run.
Looking for Johnston now. Speaking of big plays, he's got it, and it's a touchdown.
Jimmy Squat Dog Reed is what we call it. When you're able to put a guy in your pocket and he stumbles, I think he pulled that right hamstring to Julius Brents there, the left cornerback. But he went past him like hit him like he stole something.
Duggan to Johnston caps TCU's latest magic act. And it's time to start calling it for what it is, which is magic, what's going on at TCU. That's not to say, I don't mean that, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I want to be clear. But this is now another double-digit second-half rally that they've put together. They did it last week against Oklahoma State. They did it this week against Kansas State. And they overcame an 18-point deficit. Now, part of that, I think, is a reflection of good coaching and seniors and veteran guys who are saying, guys, we've still got this. We don't need to panic if we're down 18. Right? But they're down 18 points. Last week, they were down 17 points to Oklahoma State, and they roar back and they win. That 55-yard touchdown pass from Duggan to Quentin Johnston gave them the lead, and they would not relinquish. That was their third consecutive touchdown drive. I want to be careful about how I phrase this, because TCU is certainly deserving of being 7-0, right? They're certainly deserving of being 7-0. What is most impressive about them is not that they're going out there and just like blowing teams away. That game against Oklahoma is really the outlier. What's impressive about them is that they're winning on the margins. They're winning when it matters. They're doing the things that they need to do when it matters most. Now, there does come a point when you probably need to go out there and blow a team out and just show a little bit of dominance and not have to sweat and not fall down by 17. But I think that in the end, that is a really, really good trick. The schedule's interesting the rest of the way. At West Virginia should be a win. West Virginia's pretty bad. Just ask Texas Tech. They're home to Texas Tech, and then they're at Texas and at Baylor before closing out at home against Iowa State. Anything at this point, I'm comfortable saying anything less than a berth in the Big 12 championship game would be a massive disappointment.
Yes.
Massive disappointment.
I think that all of Fort Worth feels that way too. They've set the bar now.
Let's put it this way: they're 4-0 in conference. Mm-hmm. The other two teams that are 3-1, they've beaten Oklahoma State and Kansas State. Mm-hmm. No excuse not to make the Big 12 championship game. It's probably still too much to ask them to run the table. There's still too many landmines.
Right.
But I do think this is a good team that is made better. It's a good team made better by what they do on the margins.
Well, and after the fashion that Oklahoma State TCU game ended, if we were to get that as a rematch, man, that would be a really fun Big 12 championship game.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't the biggest moment of the college football weekend. Number one!
It's going to start at the whistle. Harris has time down the middle. Oh, what a catch! Oscar Cardenas with a sensational one-handed grab.
And now the decision, do you run a play or you just kill the clock? I think they're just going to spike it. No, they're going to go ahead and run a play right here.
They snap it with 22. Harris, fade, end zone, touchdown! DeCorian Clark! And the Roadrunners are back on top for the final seconds.
It's not coaches, it's players. Cardenas on that catch, and then that game-winning catch right there by Clark. Those are back-to-back spectacular plays. 80-pound tight end. Watch him, Cardenas. I thought the ball might be intercepted. That is unbelievable. That's 280 pounds. And now the touchdown, which we've seen this kid do this every week. Look how much air he puts under it. That's just 6'3" with an unbelievable vertical jump against 5'8". Look at that. Coaches get a lot of credit.
UTSA's Miracle March versus North Texas keeps them perfect in Conference USA. We go to Ashley Pickle for her thoughts. Did you watch this game?
I watched every second of it.
So you watched Frank Harris rip the heart out of North Texas? So this game was awesome. Let me be clear. This game was super boring, and then it was awesome. This game at the start, what did it go to halftime 6-3? Mm-hmm. With halftime 6-3, it went to the fourth quarter like 13-10 and ends 31-27.
Yeah, it was the fourth quarter was a fireworks factory. It was a ton of fun.
A fourth quarter flurry where North Texas, or rather UTSA, scores a go-ahead touchdown with 2:36 left. Okay? North Texas marches down and scores with 1:38 left before UTSA, with no timeouts, goes 7 plays, 75 yards, capping it with 2. Honestly, I should have included the other one because there were 3 plays in a row that really were just like Frank Harris magic and like Roadrunner, Devil Roadrunner magic. Okay? 4th and 2 at the North Texas 45. Frank Harris finds Zachary Franklin for exactly 2 yards and like right at the sticks. 2 yards. Bo's clear, first down. Then you have that incredible catch down the seam by Oscar Cardenas. Okay? By Oscar Cardenas for down to the 10. They get up, they hurry up because they have no timeouts. They throw into the end zone, and an incredible catch by Jacorian Clark in the end zone to win it. Mike Craven tweeted it out about how under Jeff Traylor, UTSA is now like 16-5 in one-score games. Little things matter. Mm-hmm. Little things matter, and UTSA did the little things. And he said the right thing after that game, which is that UTSA had Frank Harris, and North Texas didn't, and that was the difference. And by the way, I'll just tell you this: everyone, those 4 guys who are involved in those 3 plays, the 4th down conversion, the incredible catch down the seam, and then the touchdown, every one of them is indicative of what Jeff Traylor wants to build there. You've got Frank Harris, Schertz Clemens, Zachary Franklin, Cedar Hill, Jacorian Clark, Fort Worth Wyatt, Oscar Cardenas, San Antonio Brandeis. 2 San Antonio kids, 2 DFW kids. And now UTSA is probably going to win Conference USA, or at least they're going to make it to the title game. You got to feel like they're
make it to the title game.
They're at UAB,
which that's
tricky.
always a
going
fun
to
one.
Birmingham's tough.
Yeah,
but Louisiana Tech is down bad.
Yep.
Rice is a game they should win, and they're UTEP. I mean, they should finish the year 10-2. They'll be favored in the rest of their games.
See, yeah, they gotta watch out for Rice because I think they're gonna get up and they're gonna play for UAB. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think there's just no way that they'll have any sort of problem against La Tech. But that Rice game, if Rice is still playing for something and you're kind of sleeping on Rice, thinking that you've made it through the 2
they're a lot better.
They've got to be ready to go for that Rice game, or that could be the one. Just like last year when they played North Texas and North Texas tripped them up, that could be the one.
For North Texas, this is obviously disappointing. Mm-hmm. Don't let one loss beat you twice, because now they go to Western Kentucky on, is it Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, on Saturday. They go to Western Kentucky on Saturday. You got to make sure and you come out firing in that one. Don't let this one torpedo your season, because this is kind of one of those.
Yeah, because you can win that one. If you go on the road and win that one, then you can beat La Tech
then
at
you're
home
5
the
and
next weekend, or FIU the next
5-4, and then you're bowl eligible. It's all still out there in front of them for North Texas. And in fact, if they win this game, they're in the catbird seat to make it back to a Conference USA title game. Because remember, there's no divisions this year. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, just top 2.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So, anyway, there it is. It's the biggest moment of the weekend. UTSA's miracle march against North Texas keeps them perfect. Those are the 5 biggest college football moments of the weekend.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.